we're gonna try this again. For those that watch this a little bit later, I was in the middle of a live stream and the whole thing just locked up. So it was a technical failure. We'll try it again. If it locks up again, then it just isn't meant to be. Hope everybody's doing good. Why does that screen look like it's so close? Really weird, man. Really weird. Let me turn it around. See if this works. Orientation is blocked. Everything's fucked up. Screwing everything up. See if this works. It's really weird, man. God dang, this is freaking me out here. Here, we'll put it like this. Sam, stop whining. It's my daughter's pug. Anyways, I can't remember. I think we were talking about weather and sonic toothbrushes, storage containers, all that stuff. So hopefully Jim will pop back up here again. He was the first one on here last time, and it's always good to see somebody that you know. What the heck? Wait a minute. I thought I saw somebody popping up here. All right. I'll just load some shells while I'm waiting for some poor lonely person to pop up. Keep me company. Hey Sam, just lay down. Just lay down. So I'm using my iPad because on the phone, which probably operates better, I can't. Where are you? I can't see the. I can't see when somebody's sending a message, like when somebody's typing. That's why I'm using the iPad. And that might be why I had problems. I don't know. Not a technical guy. But like I was saying in the last video, I've committed to go shoot some clays with a buddy, a couple of buddies, and I wanted to get these shotgun shells done yesterday, but I ran into technical difficulties. As usual. It wasn't really technical difficulty, it was my own. I don't know if I'm getting senile or what, man. I don't think I'm that old, but I'm starting to feel that way. I'm making old man mistakes. Like I think I mentioned in one of the last videos. There he is. Yeah, I am. I know, that's scary. I actually don't just talk to myself. I debate myself, and sometimes I win, sometimes I lose. But you were talking, no, it wasn't you. Yeah, it was you. I think you said that you use those sonic toothbrushes. So yeah, I mean, I haven't even taken them out of the box because I think I'm always looking for something to make a video about. And I thought, well, shit, I'll just share that with people who maybe, you never know. There may be 1 or 1,000 or 1,000,000 people that have been wondering if they should buy them. And I don't remember what you said now. Did you say that you like them? Are they worth it? Or what's your experience with it? Good, bad, indifferent? Good, good. Because right now I'm using the, I use the water pick, I guess you call it. And that's kind of cool. But, yeah, I want to try this out. I think she got it for the traveling, but I'm looking forward to trying it out. It's really high frequency, though. I'll tell you this, man. I'll tell you that much. When I turned it on, I was shocked at the amount of whatever the fuck you call it, the juju flying out of that fucking thing. I mean, it's like, it really sounds like it'll scare the fucking plaque off your teeth if nothing else. Hey, what's up, man? Oh, by the way, John Wayne, I know that you tried to call me yesterday, and it was right when my father was showing up. Yeah, my dad was showing up, and oh wait, my wife isn't up for her teeth. God, why? You know what I hate about these messages? They disappear. Hang on a second. I know what I can do. Wait a minute. Let let me see something, because they pop up and then they fade out, but I think I can like shorten the screen or something here where I can see them. Oh, there they are. Yeah, I swipe left and there they are. Okay, hang on a second, John. Okay, my wife is a nut for her teeth. She has, oh, Sonic toothbrush, water pick, constantly flosses. Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, that's important. I wish I'd have done that when I was younger. Hey, John Wayne, you called last night right as my father showed up for movie night. And I was on the phone. My dad knocks on the doorbell. And my short-term memory. Yeah, no, it wasn't. I did forget to call you. Actually, by the time my dad left, it was after midnight. So I guess it still would have been okay for you then. But yeah, I had forgotten. Hopefully, it wasn't an emergency. Just tell me if you needed something, because I think you had a question for me, and I was hanging up on one guy, opening the door for my dad, and then you called. I mean, it's just like when it rains, it pours around here. So hopefully, is everything okay, Ray? But let's talk about, hey, since we were talking about teeth, let's see, I wanted to talk to you and Ann about something. Okay, well, I should be free later on today. After I'm done with this, I'm going to make another video and that's it. But I want to finish this tooth talk, man. Even though there's only like, what, 2 of you guys in here? This will be fun. Because I'm gonna fucking fall on my sword here. Ray, this will be shit that you didn't know about. Now, those of you that don't know who John Wayne is, he and I have been friends since the 5th grade. I mean, like righteously, we played in the sandbox with toy soldiers. It's the longest friendship I've ever had is with this guy. And so even you don't know some things about me, Ray. I'm gay. No, I'm just kidding. But so when we were younger, and all through my early adult years, this is talking about teeth now. Okay, first of all, no kid wants to have red hair. I'll be heading to Seaside later. I'll call you when we get there. Yeah, cool. Cool. So have fun and drive safe. But so anyways, yeah, no kid wants to have red hair, and I'm no different than anyone else. I mean, I was growing up in an all, kind of a just not the best neighborhood. And having red hair, you get beat up all the time, and you're blah 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 and fucking howdy doody, and I was kind of a pussy. I didn't have a dad, no brothers, just 3. I was young. The whole story. You guys know my story. Well, one of the things that happened as I started getting older was now, of course, my mom, and I was raised in a pretty shitty world. I mean, prostitution, drugs, police, welfare, food stamps. So childcare was not like number one on my mom's mind. A lot of physical abuse and the whole bit. Well, on top of that, nobody was teaching me how to take care of my teeth. So, I mean, I remember the couple times I'd go to the dentist, I'd have so many fucking cavities. I've still got like major filling, old fillings that are going to probably fall out any second now, where like dentists to this day, they look in there like, holy crap. I mean, I'd go to the dentist and be like, well, you got 7 cavities. That was like standard. But as I got older and suddenly I started giving a shit about how I looked, and my hair was all bright red back then, and I was all self-conscious, my teeth, and I'm talking now when I got into like let's see, didn't our friendship begin when you saw my artwork on my book cover? Yeah, I think it did, man. And it blossomed into a homosexual relationship, which I cherish to this day. So anyways, I noticed that my teeth were like bright yellow, like fucking banana yellow. And I didn't realize that as a young kid, but as I got into like a young adult, like I'm talking like 20 years old, 18, in the army type years, that was when people suddenly started being real conscientious about their teeth, and teeth whitening happened and blah, blah, blah. But in my teens, I started thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, why are my teeth so fucking yellow? So I would take salt, table salt, and pour it onto a toothbrush, and I would fucking push so hard I would bend the bristles. And I did this for the longest time, years, trying to get this yellow off my teeth. Years later, now they did kind of, they're like a semi-ripe banana now, but years later, I'm at the dentist as an adult, and the guy's going, "Holy shit, man! You got like you've somehow you've taken the enamel off of your teeth, a lot of the enamel." Yeah, I know well, you never noticed it, Ray, but it was something, we all notice things, and I'm glad nobody ever said anything about it as a kid, but as I got older, it was a real issue with me. So this dentist is telling me, "Holy shit, man, you've really damaged your teeth." And I told him, "Well, I used to try to scrub the yellow off with salt." And he was like, "What?" I mean, I did gum damage, the whole bit. That was when I learned, this is before the internet. He tells me, he goes, "Hey, I wish I would have learned this when I was a kid." He says, redhead people, almost 99.9% of redheaded people can't have white teeth, like white teeth, because it's just not the color of their teeth. Redheaded people's teeth are naturally a yellow, they have that yellow thing going. Just my fucking luck. God didn't hate me enough. He gave me red hair, a thumb dick, and yellow teeth. Thank you, Jesus. Just kidding. But yeah, I was just like, what? So it turns out that's the natural color, and I was just basically destroying my teeth. Is that crazy? And it's like now, I mean, ever since I grew up and became an adult, I'm like a fanatic. I mean, I floss, 3 times a day. I water pick just like your wife, Jim. And now I've got yeah, I didn't know it either. And I was like shocked. And it's funny because now I have a buddy who sometimes you'll hear me talk about this Vietnam veteran that I hang out with, the guy that taught me how to reload, a Green Beret guy. He's an older guy, he's in his 60s. And he his hair is not red now, but when he was younger, his hair was red, and he's from California. Similar stories. And when we got to talking, uh, do you have freckles on your? No, I got one freckle, so on my crank. So I must have. He's asking me if I have freckles down there. I guess they only go where the freckles only hit you where the sun hits you. So I must have had a hole in my pants. But it's a good way to identify my corpse. If there's like two ugly fuckers with tattoos laying next to each other, well, let's take it. Oh yeah, he's got a freckle. But yeah, he was telling me that he goes, yeah, we were talking, and he goes, "Did you know that yellow teeth is like a redhead thing?" And I'm like, you know what, man, I do know that, but I found it out years and years too late. So, and now if you look at red, if you what does it say? Got a pen? Let's play connect the dots. Yeah, if you connected all my freckles together, I'd be half black. I mean, it is melatonin or pigment or whatever the fuck it is. But if you, where was I going to say about this? Yeah, if you next time you see red-headed people, take a look at their teeth, and if they haven't had it all bleached out and everything, you'll notice that they're a little bit. I mean, they're just naturally that color. Where the fuck are my shells at? But yeah, that's my story on tooth care. We are really sinking to new lows when I start talking about my fucking tooth care. I'm loving it though. These shells were manufactured in France, so they were never fired. Little French dude. No offense to my French friends. I don't have any fucking French friends. I have French fries, but I don't have any French friends. So Ray, are you working tonight or no? Are you off? Are you going to Seaside today? Oh, Jim, let's see. Well, Jim, do you reload at all, and this is not a test. I just want to know if I should tell you this next story, because holy fuck, man, yesterday was a fucking nightmare. And then I'll answer your question, because I don't want to bore you if you don't know what I'm talking about. Do you dabble? Do you reload at all? I guess you don't need to reload in order to hear how stupid I was yesterday. But I'm going to answer your question first. I am using... No, nothing about the shotgun shell reloading. Yeah, okay, see, that was me. 223-308. That's exactly... Let's see, I'm off. I'm going... Okay, it's going to be 98 Seaside. Nice. Good job, man. I'm glad you're following my handgun stuff. So, as you know from my recent video, I just got into the shot. This is my first time reloading shotgun. And so, I'm very new at it. And that'll explain the story I'm going to tell. They're called, look at this. They're spelled. Where's the spelling on these cockfighters? Oh, that's the wads. So they're spelled Cheddite. I call them Cheddite. I believe they're French, and I believe they're called Cheddite or Cheddite. But I will not talk about Cheddite. Fucking them. I'm just going to call them Cheddite because I'm fucking cracker. So they're Cheddite hulls. This is all shit that I'm learning. We call these hulls. Hulls. And they have Cheddite. What number is it? I guess it's 22, I think, or 32. Let's see what kind of primers we got on these motherfuckers. Prime. Because these came pre-primed. Oh, they're 209. Cheddite 209 primers. And then I'm using Clay Buster wads, and these wads have, like, you know, this end right here is what pushes the powder down, and then this is the cup. So some are flared, these are not flared because these are straight holes. But so the shot goes in here. What I'm using for shot is I'm using number 8 bird shot because I'm just going to be blasting them out of my Saiga semi-automatic shotgun, just having fun, and then I'll do some clay pigeon shooting. And then I'm using red dot, which is another word I can't pronounce. Alient is what I think it is, but it's red dot, and it was hard to find a recipe with all of these components, which was my problem yesterday. And well, the reason, I guess they call it red dot because there's actually red dots in the powder. You know, they have green dot, red dot, and all that other shit. And yeah, so that's that. And I can actually show you. Let me see. So I'm gonna put my powder, put this in here. Hang on a second. My shot. You can see, pretty slick. Oh, brother, Jim, I swear to God, man, you're gonna love it. It's so much. I don't know how long you've been reloading, but I'm still a little intimidated when I'm reloading. Like, I would never, ever consider making a live video while I was reloading a rifle or pistol. To me, I don't feel confident enough. I got to focus 100%. I mean, because there's not much of a margin for error. But this seems so fun and easy, and you know, I've only been doing it like, what, not even a full fucking day if you combine my last two, and I'm feeling okay about it. Now, if I turn up missing, you'll know that I blew myself up and I shouldn't have been doing the video. Yeah, me too. And I'm glad to hear you say that, because there's so much to learn that I don't think it's something people learn fast. You know, I've got a shitload of manuals here, and yesterday I spent half the day reading about primers and shotguns and wads, and you know, you got to educate yourself. But anyways, you can see this is the birdshot I'm using. That's number 8, and it's pretty small. And Jim, did you see my other video when I premiered this Mech Junior reloader? Did you already see that? This chair has a leak in the hydraulics. You know, it lowers itself because it can't handle my substantial weight. Yeah, because I don't know if you saw that or not, Jim, but if you didn't, I can go through it a little bit with you. Because I'm lucky to have some buds that are experts. Yeah, that's exactly my situation. I got one friend. Oh, good. I got one friend, the Green Beret guy, and he's also an engineer, and he's worked in ammunition manufacturing and the whole bit. He's just a fucking guy that his entire garage is lathes and he can build anything. I mean, he righteously makes handguns and shit. I mean, fabricates things. And he's a bit of an asshole as far as his personality goes, and I would say that if he was sitting right here, because he's old enough now where I could get away from him. But he's the smartest fucking dude I've ever met, and he's just a real mean dude, though. I mean, he looks like Jack Nicholson. And you gotta fucking, you know, he'll teach you one part and then he'll test you on it. It's took months to get up to where I was actually loading bullets, and that's the right way to be taught. But you know, you got something right in front of your face that assembled. And if you fuck up and it blows up, man, you'll be, at worst, you fuck up your gun, or at best, at worst, you lose an eye, your face, your hands, or your life. So it's not to be fucked with. Shotguns, as and there may be a reloader that jumps on later and says, hey, you're full of shit, but I find them to be a little bit more forgiving. Oh yeah, absolutely. It's so satisfying, man. I mean, he said that it's awesome to do reloading by yourself. It literally, you have to be very careful. Yeah, you got to be very careful because we're talking about fucking gunpowder and shit blowing up. But it is very satisfying, and there's something, as I said in my first video about it, there's something about taking a bunch of things and putting them together with a machine that's finely built and everything is just has all these tolerance. I like that kind of shit. I like watches. I like things that do things. That guns. I collect guns because I like each one's got its own little function and personality. But yeah, at the end of the process, when you pull that lever the last time, you're sitting there at a freaking loaded shell that functions, and you don't have to buy it. It's just very satisfying on a lot of different levels, man. So I don't do it just because whether or not it saves money, or I don't get into that debate. I do it because it's very satisfying to me to put things together and whatnot. But if you're not in a hurry, man, I'll tell you the story. I don't know. Hopefully you're not. If you are, listen. You can cut out and come back later. But I'll tell you a story about what happened yesterday. And it's just typical Mike bullshit, but it's worth telling, man, because it was kind of funny. I think it's fun from cleaning the, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I do too. I love the prepping of the brass and the whole bit. And what makes me a little frustrated is I'll tell you the story. Thanks, Jim. What's frustrating to me is I've never saved shotgun shells, ever. Yeah, you should, I can barely read, my eyes are bad. I can't pronounce that name. I'm going to call you Nomad. Nomad, it is, if you're even semi-interested and you shoot or you like to shoot, man, I highly recommend it. And, a lot of people are going to say, well, it's very expensive to get all the things. It is. But you don't have to buy everything all at once. The most expensive part of the whole deal is your press. And this one here, and I did all the research and everything, whether or not I was going to buy a progressive or a single stage, and I got into that, I think, in my last video about this. But I think this is like $500, but they have other ones. You can buy used ones, but once you have this out of the way, you have to have access to somebody that is willing to teach you the right way. Because if you go on the internet, I mean, everybody's an expert, everybody's telling you shit, and they make mistakes, man, and you don't want to make mistakes when you're dealing with this kind of thing. You can still make mistakes, and that'll be in my story in a second, but at the end of the when you're holding the finished product, you want it to do what it's supposed to do. You got to buy manuals, and I just bought each gunpowder. Basically, you can still get into it pretty cheap. My setup 15G was not cheap. Yeah, right. Yeah, but can you imagine loading 50 fucking cal? That'd be awesome. Yeah, you don't have to buy top of the line stuff. So there are budgets, and if you bought one thing, you know how to handle that kind of stuff. I mean, you guys know what I'm talking about. But you do have to, there's a lot of information online in terms of reloading data, but you want to stick with the manufacturer stuff and not start experimenting with your own shit. Like I buy for fun, because I'm a kid, almost fucking 60-year-old kid. But I'll buy stupid shit when I'm at the gun show, like these half shells that are 12 gauge flare rounds. Why do I need those? I don't fucking know, but they seem cool. I got these dragon's breasts for my judge. Hey, what's up? Oh, okay, from Houston. Oh, got you, Roger. Okay, what up, man? I know your name, but I'm not gonna say it. I'm still gonna call you Nomad, unless you tell me not to. So yeah, I buy these weird, look at this. This is a cute little shell. I bought these at the gun show. Look at this. I mean, this is ingenious. This is like right up my alley, the kind of thing I like. And that's what I was just getting ready to get onto that, Jim. You see how my mind, I bounce around? And that is so important. He's talking about the manuals. But like this type of stuff, you don't want to start playing around and inventing these cool loads with birdshot and buckshot and everything else until you really know what the hell you're doing. So you got to put some time into it. So there's enough recipes, and those are the formulas for each set of components. There's enough of them out there. And as Jim just said, what I was going to say, the most important thing is each manufacturer of powder has its own manual. And even the presses, they put out manuals. Here's one that my newest one, because I'm using red dot powder, so I want to find books that are going to talk. Of course, they all have really useful information in the beginning about the reload. You can learn so much on these manuals just reading. Why is a shotgun shell shaped the way it is, or a bullet shell? If you get, like I have the reloading manual for Spear. Spear manufactures all the different ammunitions and stuff. I've got tons of it. Sierra, Spear, you name it. So these things will teach you everything you need to know about that. But then at the back, here's where the gold is. These are all your recipes. And if you notice, I got some highlighted. This, I don't know if you can see it. Am I upside down? So right here, and I'm not going to bore you guys with this, but basically I find the powder. Oh, here's the red dot. And then I find the primer that I'm using. Oh, a Chitchat 209. Then I find the freaking, you know, the gauge, the wad. Once you find everything that you have, then you can, you know, you can put them together. But you still want to put them together within the safety margins, you know. And Jim, I don't remember, I think they're like something like, oh God, the number I can't remember. But basically, if the left side of the margin is this number and the right side is this number, I like to go in the middle if I'm new at something, especially when it's like a rifle or a pistol bullet. I'd rather err on the low side than the high side, especially when you're shooting a Glock, you know, which is not a metal weapon. You don't want to err on the high side, because if you get an overpressure and that weapon blows up, you know, that could be disastrous. But you know, the thing I don't want to do is scare people away, because it can look really complicated. And I should have been reloading years and years ago. But the reason I didn't was my own self-esteem issues. You know, I would look at a page of graphs of numbers and shit, and I would think, holy fuck. I mean, look, man, I didn't finish high school. I'm not the most academic dude walking down the street. I'm not a dummy, but my smarts don't come from academia. They come from my life experience and my ability to understand and communicate. But nevertheless, I'm not a numbers guy. So I can see how this could totally scare somebody. Always load on the low side, yes, of the chart, and slowly work your way up. That's right. After shooting and testing any loads, that's right. And you keep immaculate records, you know. I keep this book, and this is where I put today what I loaded, what formulas I used, and then you record the performances on them too, so that you know what recipes work, which ones don't, you know, hot loads, cold loads, the whole bit. Jim, what kind of scale do you use? I was going to ask you, because my buddy, I'll just call him Steve, this is the scale that he taught me on. And remember, I'm not a numbers guy, and I got ADD and everything else. So this is a great scale right here. And I use this, I use it exclusively for my, you know, on my RCBS doing rifle and pistol. But secretly, I always wanted a digital scale. But I knew that was sacrilegious to Steve. He just like, fuck that, you know, he's an old school guy, you know, yeah, goddamn digital scale. Well, I made sure he wasn't looking. I made sure he didn't bug my house, and I said, fuck that, man, I'm a big girl now. And I went and bought this, and I used this for the first time, testing my, you know, the loads that are being dumped from this for my shotgun. And let me tell you something, man. This is a badass scale right here. It comes. Do you use an electrical or a digital one at all, Jim, or just the other one? I mean, just look at this baby. Scale, but yeah, that's how Steve is. He swears by old school. What I like about the digital scale is it's good for quick measuring. You know what I mean? Not, in other words, when you're gonna, you've got your load, you measure your dump, and then maybe every so many rounds you want to do a quick check or something. You don't have to wait for shit to stop swinging. You know what I mean? I mean, I'm sorry, I like electronics, but when I do my rifle and pistol, I'll stick with the old school because that's how I was taught, and I want to keep that skill up. You know what I'm saying? So what else we go? What else can we talk about? What else is going on in the world? Oh, I was going to tell you this story. God, see how my fucking memory is? Jesus Christ. I'm telling you, man. Fucking head injury. All right, so here's what happened. And this is right into the reloading topic here because I thought, you know, everything I ordered came in the mail. I was all happy. I had all my shit. And I was like, fuck it. I'm going to load up a bunch of shotgun shells and I'm going to be happy as can be. So I get up and I start to get things laid out, and I immediately start running into a problem. I get my manual, the one I just showed you, and I'm going through all the components that I have. And I knew that on that particular manual, using the shells that I have, the holes, and the powder, I knew there was only 3 or 4 recipes in there because I talked to the dude at you know, whatever, reloading.com or wherever the fuck I got it. And guy, we had a long talk. So, but I can't find him, and they're closed, so I can't. Did I just see a fly? Fucking, what the fuck? Am I a Green Beret or what? Come on, man. That shit just doesn't happen in real life. Get out of here. So, where is that? Yeah, I couldn't call him up and say, hey, what page was that on? You know, are you sure it was in this book? So I'm going through, and time starts ticking by, man. And I start to panic because I cannot find any recipe that uses these Chitchat hulls and red dot powder and the wads that I have, the clay busters or whatever the fuck they are. So an hour goes by as I'm looking around and I'm reading this book, and I'm like, shit. Now I have 1,000 or 2,000 CCI 209 primers, but I'm new at this, at the shotgun thing, and of course the question that comes into my head is, I wonder if the primers are interchangeable. Instinctively, I didn't think they would be, but I thought maybe I'll be lucky and I'll find somewhere that says, you know, you can put any primer anywhere as long as it's the right caliber. You know, as long as it's a shotgun primer. So I start reading the section about, you know, I'm reading the whole book. I'm reading through primers, the history of primers, you know, stuff that I was revisiting with, you know, the Boxster and the Berdan and all this other shit. I was reading all this stuff. And then I go online and I'm Googling questions about that. And people are, oh, fuck, you know, you can't use a different primer because it'll burn this rate and that and blah, blah, blah. And now it's 2 hours later. And I'm fucking sitting there and I'm thinking, so I got everything I need, but the wrong primers. About 2.5 hours goes by. I'm sitting in this chair, and then it dawns on me, like I have no brain, or my brain operates in slow motion. I'm so fucking mad. And this will be the funny. Oh, well, actually, I'll tell you that part in a second. It dawns on me that when I bought these hulls, I bought them pre-primed. What an idiot. So there was like almost 3 hours of my day down the shitter trying to solve a problem that was already solved. And I remember I thought, hey, pre-primed hulls, that'll save me a step or two. They're already in there. So that meant I did have everything. So I'm like, okay. Now, I'm not going to name names because the person that did this is going to watch this video, I'm sure. And I'm sorry I have to tell this story, but I haven't had a chance to tell you, person, because I haven't talked to you on the phone yet. Oh, it gets better. Wait, Jim. Steve. Confidence are so. Oh, is that right? Sweet. That is cool. That was a damn good movie too. Are you talking about for the movie or for the real LA Confidential? But okay, so here's what happened. God, I'm combining these stories, but they all make sense. Or they need to be told. So Steve, the guy that taught me to reload, he said recently on the phone, not a week ago, words that ended up, and I want you to come back. The real cops, outstanding. Wow, that's cool. So he said words that saved my ass yesterday. At some point, he goes, you know, Mike, and he's not very nice, but he every now and again he'll say something nice, and he goes, "There's no mistake that you're going to make that hasn't been made by someone else before in terms of reloading." That came back to save me from murdering the entire family, because here's what happened. And now I got to rat fuck my other friend who I won't name. But you know who you are. And I am going to tell you anyways. I'm going to call you up after this video and tell you I made the video and chew you out. And it's sort of my fault. Now, when you get something new like let's just say a reloader, a Mech Junior, don't you want to set it up yourself? I mean, don't you hate it when somebody else is there and they want to start fucking with it and showing you how to put shit together? I mean, it drives me nuts because for two reasons. Number one, hey, it's my shit. And number two, and I'm too nice sometimes, just let people do it. But number two, by me putting things together, it helps me understand how they work. You know, I got to actually have, so if there's a problem later, if I didn't put something together, it's going to be hard for me to disassemble it and fix it. So this is what happened with that in mind. And don't forget what Steve's advice was about making mistakes. The day I got this, I knew my buddy was going to come over and he wanted to bring over some shells that he had and some powder that he uses. And that was really nice of him, man. So we could like try out my shit. And he's a reloader guy. So, you know, I mean, I have high confidence that he knows what he's doing. However, I want to do my own shit. And he comes over, good guy, love this guy dearly, like a brother. But he can't help himself. He's like that type A personality, man, where he starts whipping out tools and there, let me show you this, and we got to do that. And I'm trying to be nice, and I'm thinking, fuck, man. Well, two things happened that day that jacked my fucking crank. One is, on this, if you haven't had a mech, if you're not familiar with it, this piece right here, you pull it back to drop the powder. That's a safety mechanism. Now this is a new model. He's got a Mech Junior, same thing, but he must not have known that the model's changed. Anyways, as he's putting this together, or as he's putting powder and shot up there, he's trying to work it and it won't go. And he's like, hey, this fucking thing's bent. And I'm like, well, I don't think so, man. They wouldn't send me a bent piece. I mean, they got a high rib. No, it's bent, man. I got one at home and it's not supposed to do this. I go, hey, man, I think it's probably supposed to, no, it's bent. So he takes it off. Come on, we got to straighten it out. And he's trying to bend it. And he's like, look, you got a vise? I'm like, man, I don't feel good about bending this fucking thing, man. It's brand new. No, I'm 100% sure, man, that it's not supposed to. Goes out in the garage, bends my fucking brand new shit, puts it on. And then later, a few seconds later, he's like, oh, no wonder it didn't. Yeah, it's a safety mechanism. I guess the new models have that. Mine don't. Well, thanks a lot, cocksucker. You just fucking bent my shit, you know? If you weren't 6'5" and fucking 400 pounds, and I wasn't crippled, I'd probably beat your ass for doing that, but I let it slide. So, not a big deal. You know, I can bend it back and whatever. That's not the kicker. As he's putting the shot bar, now the shot bar is a piece where, this is important for the story here. So you have what's called bushings in the shot bar, which is this red thing that the red thing is the shot bar, and that's what the shot dumper and the powder dump they connect into, which is this thing right here. That's a shot bar. In that shot bar are bushings. Well, there's one bushing. And each one of these bushings has a number, and I bought a bunch more, and it comes with 3. That one that's in there is a number 32, and what that does is that dictates how much shot is going to be dropped each time you move that bar to the left. Yeah, so if you have a 32, it drops, you know, X amount of grains of powder, and if you want more, you got to take that off, and it's real simple, and you put another bushing in. either for more shot or more powder or less. So as he's doing that, I look at, and the package came with washers, a rubber and a brass washer that go in the shot bar. And he starts to put this fucking thing on. And I go, hey man, you're forgetting the washer. No, man, we don't need the washer. Right away, I'm thinking, motherfucker, why would they give you shit you don't need? And I go, no, we probably ought to go ahead. No, 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 man, that just fucks it up, man. We got the same setup at home. We don't use the washer. This is going somewhere, believe me. So me being a fucking nice, polite cocksucker who just would rather not hurt somebody's feelings, I'm like, yeah. And I'm thinking to myself, I'll put the fucking thing in as soon as he leaves. So we load up, I don't know, man, 80 fucking of these Winchester 12 gauge with his powder and his recipe and the whole bit. I said, here, man, take fucking 5 or 10 of them home, and because he lives out in the open, he can go test fire them in his yard. He leaves, calls me up, his exact words: these motherfuckers are stout. Now, when he says that, and this is a giant motherfucker, I'm thinking to myself, probably fucking overloaded. Did it hurt? No, it didn't hurt, but, fucking dug a 10-foot fucking trench in the fucking front yard and killed 6 fucking gophers. Whatever. That was the end of that story. And, days and a week go by. Can you talk about your experience during the riots? I was driving down first night. I will. Let me finish the story and I'll tell you all about it. So here it is, man. Week goes by or whatever. Now it's yesterday, and I'm fucking putting all this shit together. And I'm happy that I figured out the primer situation. And I fucking thought, well, let me weigh, see how much is dumping. And the first dump I did in the number 32 bushing, I get 34.7 grains of fucking powder. That's what we were putting into his shotgun shells. 34, that's a lot of fucking powder, man. And so I'm looking through the manual. I can't find one recipe out of the 6 million recipes that uses that kind of fucking powder. And I'm thinking, Jesus Christ, no wonder that motherfucker was stout. And I'm thinking, what the fuck is this thing dumping so much goddamn powder? I'm looking on the internet. This is my whole day yesterday. And then finally it occurs to me, because I'm slow, but I get there. I bet you those fucking washers not being in there is causing a problem. Take the motherfucker apart, put the washers in, do a sample dump. It dumps 17.3 grams. I went from 34.7 to 17.3, and it's consistent. So that's huge. That's fucking huge. So for you that's listening, that's gonna watch this, that left the washers out, fuck you, man. You got to use the washers. Now, still love you, but fuck, man. That's bullshit. So, the story's coming to an end here. Oh, I see a message. Yeah, read the fucking manual applies. Exactly. And follow the fucking manual. And so that's my fault by allowing myself to be kind of like, I never want to hurt anybody's feelings. I mean, and that's kind of like, that's a bad fucking habit, especially when you're dealing with this shit. So here comes the end of the story, though. You're going to love this one, Jim. And remember, my buddy Steve said, any mistake you made, and remember I said that saved the family from homicide. Here's what happened. So now I put the shit in there, I put the washers in, I put the fucking shot container and the powder container in there, and I'm all happy and shit. And I move the motherfucking bar over, and I dump an entire load of powder all over the fucking bench, the tape, my feet, the floor, and I'm like, I just started thinking, I'm just going to light a fucking match and take us all out. Because I fucking had. By that time, that was it, man. I should have had my shit loaded. The whole day was gone. I'm sitting here knee deep in fucking powder. And then I heard Steve's voice in my head. Any mistake you make has been made before. And that is how the family was saved. So I spent the next fucking hour and a half cleaning that shit up. And the mistake? You know what the mistake was? I put the fucking shot bottle where the powder goes and the powder where the shot goes. I won't make those mistakes again. Those are the type of mistakes you only make once. But motherfucker, that was not fun. Oh, child, let me tell you, that was not fun. So yeah, that's the story. Now, before I go on to the riots, do we have any questions about the shit I just fucking confessed to? We load a couple of these. I hate the fact that when you guys type something or write something, it just stays on my screen for a second and then it like fades out. So if I don't read it quick or if I miss it, it's fucked up. So you notice how I'm hitting the shot? Yeah. Yeah, well, exactly. That's what Steve was telling me too. He's like, even if you follow the, if you read the manual, you're still gonna fucking step on it. But if you notice when I'm dumping the shot, I don't have to pull anything. That's because I still have to rebend that safety bar. You know, I could just keep it this way, but I like things to be the way they are when I fucking buy them, especially when I pay a lot of fucking money for them. You know what I'm saying? Gee. But the riots. Now, Jim, you're gonna probably give. I think I've told that story a couple times. I hope I don't bore you, but in a nutshell, let me just put it to you this way: the fucking riots to me were some of the scariest times. People always ask me, man, what was the scariest thing ever happened to you? I had a lot of scary shit happen to me, but that was not mortal fear where you're like shaking and you're like, holy fuck. But that was, there was a particular night during the riots that I had very serious doubts as to whether or not we would get out of that particular situation alive. So that's what I always think about when I think about the riots. I had a lot of fun during the riots because, you know, I mean, if you're not having fun at work, you're in the wrong job. And we had fun. You know, it's fun catching bad guys and shit. I had some fearful moments, and the fearful time came when we were down in Southwest Division, because we were, you know, cops were moving everywhere. I mean, we didn't have enough cops, and this is before the Guard deployed. You know, once the National Guard actually deployed, everything calmed down. But before that happened, I mean, we were riding 4 deep, you know, so we had 4 people in the car, and we worked supposedly 12 hours, but they were a lot longer than that because you worked until they were able to relieve you. But you would move around the whole city wherever you were needed. So at one point, I got assigned down in Southwest Division. That was a weird night too, because we were leaving Hollywood, and as we were heading south on Wilcox, we were hearing all the broadcasts going, you know, I mean, just horrendous broadcasts of people needing help and, you know, the whole bit. And there had been this pursuit going on from Beverly Hills Police Department that in the midst of all the crisis going on the radio, you kept hearing, you know, all units be advised, Beverly Hills is in pursuit. They're now entering this, you know, blah, 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 blah. And so nobody was really paying attention to it, but it was blasting on everybody's radio. And then we get in the car and we're starting to head south. And now it's like, all units be advised, Beverly Hills pursuit is now eastbound Santa Monica Boulevard from, you know, La Brea. So they're in our division now. And it was, I don't know, 4 male blacks and shots fired, whatever. Who knows? There was a carjacking or something. Just as we get to Santa Monica, and we're like, holy shit, they're going to go right by us. That fucking car with 4 bad guys in it slams into a telephone pole and just fucking disintegrates. I mean, it was just one of those things where like, holy shit, man. It was a weird night. And, you know, I mean, fucking bodies and shit, and you know, we just basically rolled on by. I mean, there's nobody coming out of that fucking thing alive, and we had to get going, so we went down, you know, in other units where Beverly Hills had its people there. So we went on down to Southwest, and there was a big supermarket there. We ended up in the middle of this fucking huge parking lot on some intersection, and there was a big supermarket called Viva. I'll never forget that. It was a Viva supermarket. And it was to our left. The street was in front of us, and we were in this like strip mall. And in the strip mall was a pawn shop next to a pet store, and then nail places and whatever. And we had, I guess we had a squad of about, we probably had about 10, 8 or 10 officers there, and a Sergeant Garino. And this fucking crowd, and there's fires burning and shit, and this crowd forms, and this is like the most hostile crowd you've ever seen in your life. And it just grows and it grows. And during the riots, I mean, you had no backup. I mean, you couldn't get on the radio and ask for backup. It just wasn't going to happen. You could ask for help, and it wasn't going to happen. The fire department, if they request help, you get a whole city shows up of cops. But that during the riots, they were screaming for help and getting shot, and nobody was coming. I mean, they had to like kick in house. They went into people's houses and hid, for 12 hours till somebody could get them out, bleeding. Shot with AK-47s and shit. I mean, it's true stories. So you're on your own, and that's just all there is to it. And this crowd was, hey, fuck you, fuck the police, fucking cracker, fucking Nazi, whatever. Just, kind of like what it is today now. And it grew, and it grew, and it grew. And you got guys going, man, I'll never forget this. One guy's like, man, when this shit kicks off, meaning when we attack you guys, because we're like trying to hold them back as best we can. And he says, man, when this shit kicks off, I'm gonna get that corn. I'm gonna get your cornbread ass, you fucking pecker. Talking about me because I was the biggest cop there, and I'm thinking to myself, well, then you're the motherfucker. I'm gonna. Not yet. They weren't throwing shit yet at this because we're in the parking lot. We're in this little line, and there was a newspaper article, which is really, I don't know how the fuck that happened, but I have it in my scrapbook, and it's got a diagram of that very incident, and it's got the names of the sergeant that was in charge there. And Garino tells me, he pulls me out of line. He goes, hey, I want you right next to me and help me with the squad. And so in the diagram, I'm standing next to him. You got maybe 8 other cops standing here, and this crowd was just fucking hostile, man. Not throwing shit, but like, fuck you, blah, 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 blah. A few people getting spit on, that kind of thing. And it was still not that late in the evening. But then fires started burning, and then fire trucks made their way here. And when the fire truck showed up, Sergeant Garino actually took one of the loudest fucking dudes and pulled him aside, had a powwow with him, and got him to calm everybody down. And that crowd kind of faded out. And now we get all these fire trucks, and it was fire trucks from all over. I mean, there were even like forestry fire trucks. It was unbelievable. And fire trucks from fucking like Santa Barbara. That was one of the trucks that was there. And the Viva supermarket was getting looted, and everything was getting looted. And so it caught on, it eventually it was on fire, and that's like right next to us. It's this huge fucking supermarket. And it becomes a major fire. And at one point, and now that we ultimately ended up getting shot at, and I mean, we were getting sniped at because across the street was a big vacant lot and then a bunch of apartment buildings. And then the rounds started fucking flying in, hitting the police cars. And then, of course, we're all scattered now, and the firemen are scattered, and fucking hoses are left unattended. And now it becomes a thing where the fire department needs to be protected while they're trying to fight this fire, but they don't want to just stand out there and fight the fire because, of course, shots are coming in. And at one point, the fucking this sounds so bizarre, but I mean, I'll never forget it. I was talking with one of the other officers about something. We're behind cover, and there was an explosion where the Viva supermarket fucking blew up. And I don't know to this day what that was. It wasn't a bomb, but something in there blew up. I didn't know until like the next day that when that blew up, there were 2 firemen on the roof, and they got blown off that roof. They didn't get killed, but they got hurt. And this is happening like right next to it. This is how chaotic it was. I mean, like nobody fucking moved, even though there was this like fucking literally it looked like a nuclear bomb. I mean, there's this huge fucking flame went up into the sky and ballooned out. It was you could feel the heat. And the worst part of that, well, let me get back to this part. So at one point now the fire's fucking raging. I mean, it's not only the Viva, it's everything connected to it. and across the street there's shots periodically. It's not sustained gunfire. It'd be like you'd be doing shit, and all of a sudden, rounds would fucking kick up on the concrete by you because we're down on the ground. So you can't shoot back because what are you going to shoot? You can't see where you can't even fucking see a muzzle flash. Maybe every now and again. And at some point, the fire department needed another hose to go further north, and they had I don't know how I don't know the right names of these guys, the positions, but whoever the dude is that goes to the fire hydrant, he was refusing to go unless he had somebody with him to protect him. Not a coward, I get it, man, because that would put you in a major vulnerable spot. Well, guess who ends up going? And that's me. And so him and I go to this fire hydrant, and I'm thinking, how am I going to cover this dude? Because I can't see where any of the shots are coming from. And this dude, I'll never forget this, man. We get over to the fire hydrant, and some fucking rounds hit the street, not really close to us, but in our general direction. And he was like really nervous, and he goes, God damn it, man. He goes, I'm going to die tonight, and I don't even have a way to protect myself. And this sounds really stupid, but it's, what could you do? You do what you got to do. And it was so stupid. But I was imagining, God, I know what he feels like. I mean, I thought I was going to die too, man. But at least at least I'm armed. So I pulled out my 38 backup gun, and I handed it to him. I said, man, that's all I can offer you, dude. At least you have something. And he took it, I mean, I gave him that fucking weapon. He had that until I left, like the next day when the sun was up. But the worst part of that entire night at that by the Viva was the looters started a fire in one of the buildings next, that was in the strip mall. And that fire grew and it grew and it grew, and nobody's fighting that fire because the fire department was only, I don't even know why the fuck they were fighting any fires, to be honest with you, because they were letting most of things burn, but they didn't have the manpower, and it was too dangerous to be getting shot at, and some of them had been hit. So that strip mall caught on fire, and then the fire hit the fucking the pawn shop. And when that happened, fucking rounds start flying. You can hear them in there, man, fucking cooking off. It was added to the confusion. But the absolute worst part, and this shit is even hard for me to talk about, man, was the fucking pet store fucking connected to the pawn shop. And it's all barred up that you can't get in there. There's no way. Well, that thing caught on fire, and you could hear these fucking dogs and shit in there, man. It was a fucking nightmare, dude. It was like hell for having to listen to that. And it didn't last too long, but it seemed like it lasted a year. Because we all knew what was going on in there, and it was just fucked up. And my buddy Steve's calling on my phone, the guy that taught me to reload. I'm making a video, so fuck you. But yeah, so that was that. Now I can tell you some fun shit too. That do I even want to tell this? Yeah, the way everybody hates cops now, I'm afraid to even talk about the reality of police work back then. Because if you associate police work then with the way it is now, it's two different eras, two different mindsets, and it's like holding white people today guilty of slavery back then. I think that sucks. And I don't think people should hold cops today accountable by today's standards of law enforcement, because things were different. Life is fluid and things change, and we did things different. And so I'll tell you this. Days into the riot, when things were sort of slowing down, and there wasn't so much kinetic shit going on in terms of gunfights and stuff, we had curfews going. And at that point, we had broken off into like foot patrols, and we would get groups of guys, 6, 7, 8 guys, and we would not take cars. We'd just roam around the city, making sure that curfew was being maintained. People weren't looting and whatnot. And there was this place on Vine Street in Hollywood. I think it was what the fuck was it? Tower. What the fuck was it? It was like a CD place, where they sell CDs and records, like a record store. And I'm gonna say Tower Records, but I don't think that's it. But anyways, somebody had, there were looting going on all over the city, and somebody had bent the bars off the front, away from the front of the building. And when we came around, of course, a bunch of looters, they all ran out and shit. And that place hadn't been really hard hit that bad because we scared them out of there. And so we were bored, and it was in the middle of the night, and we thought, you know what, let's have some fun. So we had one officer go across the street and hide in the bushes by the McDonald's, and the rest of us went into the fucking record store, and we went all the way to the back where the manager's office was, and there was this one-way glass where from the front it's a mirror, but it's two-way. So on the inside we could see out, and we stood there, and we just waited. And also the guy across the street on the radio, he's like, "All right, man, we got a carload of gangbangers coming. You know, these guys are driving around looking for shit to steal." So they pull in, blacked out, and jump out, and they'd see the bars were away, and they'd run in and start shopping, right? Well, the dude across the street would come running across the street, and he'd come to the door, so that was the only way out. And he'd be like, "Police!" And these guys would look up, and we'd step out, man, with our fucking batons. And I'd always yell, "Merry Christmas, motherfuckers!" And then I'll leave it to your imagination, but these guys, they're probably still remembering that fucking night. And yeah, we did that for hours, man. Just fucking get these motherfuckers, you know, they'd be all loaded up with all the shit they were stealing. Fucking get them carted out, have a unit come pick them up, and just fucking get back in position and wait for the next group to come in to fucking steal. And we'd let them stuff all their shit full of stolen shit, and we'd come out, "Merry Christmas," fucking load them up. And we did that, man, all night long. It was fucking fun, man. So yeah, there's that. I'm probably the only guy. This is like a little interesting thing that's a footnote. I'm probably the only guy in the whole department that I'm aware of that actually found an actual righteous bomb, and that was pretty wild. I got a commendation for that. It was a looting thing where there was a vehicle rolling around, not supposed to be rolling around. Stopped this guy, and you know, "Hey, I didn't get home, and you know, I didn't leave my friend's house till late." Blah blah blah. He had all the answers, but there was a vibe telling me something was wrong. And you know, we search his car. We don't find anything. I keep thinking, man, there's something going on with this dude. I go back, search the car again, nothing. We almost don't have anything on the dude except he's out after curfew. And there's that little tingly feeling in the voice of my head saying, "No, there's something in that fucking car, man." And I was really good at this psychic shit, and I didn't know what it was, but I'm gonna go check this guy's car again. "Hey, Mike, haven't you searched that fucking car 3 times? There's something wrong with this fucking guy. He's something not right." So I go in there and I lay down on my back, and I'm looking under the dashboard, and I see where there's some screws, and there's one screw missing. And I think, so I pull it, and it's kind of loose. But I'm like, fuck, I don't want to destroy this guy's car and then turn out there's nothing there. You know, but I just have this I just need to pull it. And I know when I pull it, it's going to come down. And man, there better be something there. I just fucked this dude's car. I'm going to get sued. But I thought, fuck it. And I pulled it, and it snapped and came down. And inside there was a fucking container, man, filled with like gunpowder. There's wires going through and a fucking battery. And so I'm like, what the fuck? So we back out, seal off the area. We get the bomb squad to roll, which is not easy, you know, in times of like, you know, a riot going on, you know, and curfew and shit. But so they get there, and sure as shit, man, this motherfucker, what it turned out after the whole investigation, I mean, and it was really cool too, because they detonated this thing in a parking lot there. And in the middle of the night, it was just fucking huge. It was beautiful. You know, they moved it from the car and put it in this big parking lot. But what it turned out to be was this dude was a serial arsonist, and he was making these bombs which were filled with gunpowder and shit, and basically designed to have a timer, and he was putting them on these buildings all over the city and driving away, and when they blow up, there was all this black powder and shit. It would burn up the fucking building, start a fire. So it was a good arrest, man, based just on fucking instinct. So there was that. And yeah, the last thing I'll tell you, the last story I'll tell you, because I'll be talking all day, is when the National Guard was there, they were manning a roadblock, a checkpoint at Santa Monica Boulevard and Western, and we were up there talking with them, and it was dark 30, and here comes a fucking car, not supposed to be any cars out. This car comes and instead of stopping, he slows down, and they're like, "Hey, stop," and I go out, and my buddy goes out, my other partner goes out, and we're like, hey, you gotta stop, man, stop. And the guy kind of won't stop rolling, and he guns it to run the roadblock. And you know, it turns out he's like a drunk driver guy. Well, this 17-year-old National Guards guy, without even a moment's hesitation, just lowers his fucking rifle, boom, and fucking shoots and kills this dude. And this dude's car fucking flies into a fucking telephone pole. And we're all like looking at each other like, holy shit. And we're thinking, you know, we're taping it off like it's a big investigation when there's an officer involved shooting. It's huge. And we're like, hey, you know, you guys got to investigate. So we send away. This guy's commander ends up rolling up in a Humvee, and he looks out, and we're like, yeah, sir, the body's over here. We've maintained everything for you. You know, he goes, no, I can see it from here, man. Yeah, he shot him, and he's dead. That was their investigation. And that was the end of it. And we're like, holy shit, it must be nice. Gosh darn it, man. My daughter's little dog wants to go out. Little pug's driving me nuts. But yeah, so that was, you know, I could go on and on, but those are the ones that come to mind. Sammy, you want to go out? Go. Go, 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 go. So, any questions on that? Any of that stuff? Anyways, I guess I think I've kept you guys long enough, man. It was fun. We had a nice crowded, yeah, big time. Thank you, brother. That's what I always think too. Looking back on it, I was like, fuck, man. Yeah, that, I'm just glad I made it out of that whole career in one piece. But yeah, we have 3 people that were in this live video, so I think that's an indication that either everybody else has really good lives and is busy on Sunday, or YouTube Live is just not the way to go. But I had fun, and it's always good talking with you guys. And I'm gonna let you go. I'm gonna call my buddy back, and I'm gonna keep on loading. And I'll make another video today. Hey, it was really my pleasure, brother. My pleasure, Jim. And thanks for throwing in, you know, your thoughts and stuff about the reloads and the toothbrush and all that stuff. That's cool. And in the meantime, you guys have a good day, man. Go out and do something. And stay safe. And I'll talk to you guys when I talk to you. How do I even shut this down? I have no idea. This is what happened last time. I don't know how to... Oh, let's see if this does it. Yeah, all right, guys. Stay safe.